Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Asus Xonar Essence STX2 7.1 sound card. Now this is the 7.1 model, but I just want to say right from the get-go, 7.1 is £209. You can get it without the additional card, just as the normal 5.1 model for £175. Both of those prices are taken from overclockers as of the date today, which is the 6th of November. But there's a lot of information around and about the box. But I know what everyone's going to say to me, just get the damn thing open. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we have the card out for us all to have a ganders around. But I know that a lot of you are going to want to know what's going on underneath the shield and what all these bits and bobs mean. So I've got a slide ready that I can show you, which can help us explain what all the mumbo jumbo is and all the technical stuff that's going on with the card. Right, so up in the top right hand corner you've got the Molex power. Just ever so slightly further down we've got the LDO regulators. Then obviously you've seen that sexy shield already. Underneath the shield though you can see that we've got the professional WEMA capacitors. They're the little red things. Now those WIMA capacitors have recently started finding their way onto some of the high-end motherboards, which is always quite nice, but they are still very expensive and very high-end components. We've got the Muses op amps or OP amps in there. There's a T1 TPA 6210A2 headphone amplifier there. And the thing is with the headphone amplifier as well, it's up to 600 ohms impedance. There's a Supreme TI PCM 7192A digital to analog converter, or DAC, whatever you want to call it. There's the TCO clock source as well, which helps keep everything in check when temperatures rise and stuff. And then at the top there's the daughter board connector. Right then, so here's the card again. If I can hold it steady enough round this side, then the top two connectors are the front left and right RCAs. Next one down is a 6.3mm headphone jack, which is the big chunky big headphone jack that you might need an adapter for if you've only got one of the 3.5mm ones. The next one down is a 6.3mm or 1/4 inch input for a mic or a line in. And then the bottom one is the SPDIF coaxial out. And then on the daughter board, which is here, basically the top two are the side RCA outs. Those two are the center and the subwoofer, and those two, sorry, are the rear left and right outs. So you can do everything on RCA if you want. But this is what I'm most interested in. I have to admit, because I'm a stereo boy, so I'll only be using these two outputs. But obviously you can have all of these, and also where these have got the separate amps, you can change the op amps on these. Talking about changing the op amps, you can change the ones on the main unit, and it does come with a kit so that you can do it. And in the kit there is a pair of Texas Instruments LME 49720s, and then there's a Muse 8820 in there as well. And then you get the tool that you can change them with as well. Now obviously these are just normal op amps, so if there are other ones that you want to try or that you prefer, you can also swap those in if you want as well. But it obviously does give you the choice if you want to do it. And like I said, we've got the all of the op amps there that we can change once the camera comes in and focuses. So you can change all of these if you want, and obviously you can tune them and change them, and you know, however you see fit. If you're into changing all these things, then this will quite excite you. The ones on the main unit themselves are underneath the shield, and it's just an anti, like noise, keeps everything nice and pure. But I think really the best thing we can do now is get this in a rig and give it a good hammering. On to testing then, peeps. I've got the sound card fitted in Orca, and yes, you can see me for a change. The reason why it's dark and light is because we've got spotlights at the side, and there's no spotlight directly over my head in the ceiling. But we've got the STX2 fitted in Orca, which is my daily rig. In case you haven't seen it, I'll put a link underneath to the build log on OC3D, and there's also a playlist on YouTube where you can watch all the videos, because it was like a memorial system for my mum. But anyway, we've got the STX2 in there fitted now. For comparison reasons, what was running in there before was the original STX, but I've also tested it with the D2X, which is the 5.1 audio kind of, not audio, sorry, multimedia based sort of card. So we've tested across 3 different ones, and to make things fair, we've got some KRK Rocket RP6s on the desk. These are studio monitors, they're self-powered, they've got like a little amp and everything built in the back. So we've run these, but what we've also run is, these are, you're going to see in a review in the not too distant future. These are the Tannoy Reveal 402s. They're also self-powered monitors, and they're obviously a pair. So we've run those, but also just to kind of mix it up as well, because obviously the sound card is obviously a very high-end piece of kit. So we've run it with some really high-end speakers that you can properly hear the difference, especially when you start tweaking and stuff. So we've run those, and they're self-powered monitors. But what we've also done is we've run it with a set of Corsair SP2500s. Now those are stereo, these are 2.1, so you've got the 2 satellite speakers, then you get a subwoofer as well. These were pretty much as good as audiophile 2.1s as you're ever really going to get. They're very high quality speakers from Corsair, so it did give us a good bit of balance for testing. As far as music is concerned, we tested with a lot of online streaming, Spotify. I personally like DIFM. We've also got things like Kisstory and Kiss Fresh that we were using. I listen to a lot of rock, I listen to a lot of different types of music as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring everything in now. We'll move on to a conclusion, and I'll explain what I personally think about the units. But we also, just actually quickly, before we go on to the conclusion, I'm going to talk you through some of the software. When you open the software up, this is the first thing that you'll get greeted by. You've got a graphic equalizer there, you've got the volume switch to the right, and it also tells you what's going on. You can see that you've got the DMP mode, the equalizer mode, and then the output source as well. And then if we were to go on to game, and then if you press the game switch, you can see that in the DMP mode things have been enabled. So we've got Dolby Pro Logic, it's been enabled there, and then the virtual speaker, and you can also see that the game is highlighted in the bottom, and you've got the game button is highlighted as well. When music is enabled, you can see that we've still got the Dolby Pro Logic and the virtual speakers there as well. It does change the equalizer a tiny little bit, although the equalizer mode hasn't been changed, but you can hear a distinctive change in the audio. Movie, same sort of thing again. You can see it's just pretty much activating the buttons, and not a lot's been changed in this panel at all. Hi-Fi, the DMP mode is off. It's just down to the normal 2 speakers. And then QX again, everything's off. And these you can pretty much change around with quite easily. When we open the panel up, you press the little triangle button in the bottom corner down near the Hi-Fi, and it'll open it up, and the first thing you see in the main panel, you can see that you can change your audio channels, you can see that you can change the sample rate, the speaker output. You can also enable some other things like the Dolby Virtual Speaker. There's actually 2 modes of the Dolby Virtual Speaker. You can have the wide speaker, which is that one there, and then you can have the narrow speaker, and you can see that the arrows change from purple to blue, and it's almost like making the speaker field slightly narrower for the virtual speakers. If you go along the mixer, it doesn't really do a lot on there. You can basically just turn the speakers up, left and right channels up and down independently. But when you go on to effect, there's a lot of effects that you can play around with. There's in the environment at the top, there's 4 buttons, and you've got one for bathroom, then there's another one for concert hall, the next one along is underwater, next one along from that is music pub. I will say though that, like, for argument's sake, the music pub just seems to add echo, so it's almost like you've got some really loud music but you're in a very wide space and it just kind of echoes around. On the right hand side, or sorry, just underneath, there is some extra settings that you can go in to change from generic to stone rooms, auditoriums, a hanger, that'd be alright if you want to make it sound like you're at a rave, because again, it just adds loads of echo. I've personally left all these things off. On the right hand side, you've got the equalizer. There are some just easily changeable settings that you can go in there and go to, like bass, treble, dance, you know, metal, rap, all that type of thing. But you can also define some at the bottom and save them should you want to use it as well. The karaoke mode is not something that I'm particularly interested in, so we're going to skip that and we're going to go across to flex bass. Now the flex bass is a crossover frequency, and this is something I found has changed the speakers that I was using immensely. The KRKs, when you turned it right down to 50 Hertz, was mental, but I actually found that with the tannoys where they've got smaller drivers, I found changing the crossover point completely changed the output from the speakers and made them much richer than any of the other sound cards did previously. So this is something I would definitely say if you like your bass and you're running stereo speakers to have a fiddle around with, because I personally, like I said, I really liked it to the point that if you turn it right down to 50, you may actually find it's a bit too bassy, and you might not like it. I've been running mine at around, for most of the testing, at around 70 megahertz, and with the KRKs that was just unreal. The extra depth that it gives you is brilliant. Okay then peeps, so conclusion, and as we always do, we start off with the award and then we'll move on to the, you know, kind of wrapping it all up. But there's nothing more that you can give this other than the gold award. It's probably, you know, it's one of the best sound cards Asus have ever made. I used to think the STX was good, but the fact that, you know, they've brought this in, the fact that I can instantly, personally hear a difference is unbelievable. Now you may wonder with the testing why we've not played you any samples or anything like that. And most importantly, YouTube always fuck me with a big dangly black stick when I play any music because of copyright and all that type of stuff. But also it's very down to the microphone that we use and then what you play it with at the other end as well, so it's a little bit pointless. But the sound quality on these is mental, to the point where, you know, with the old STX, you can hear ripping differences anyway. So if you, depending on the source and how good it was taken from the original source, you can hear hisses and popping and, you know, distortion in the original rip. With these, it's very much still there, but in a much less of a harsh way. And I don't mean it's not picking it up. I mean, the whole experience on this just seems to be a lot better. The original STX in this setup, especially with the KRKs, when you were sat on the desktop, you'd hear a hiss. And it was actually quite significant with the original STX, to the point where it was, when I wasn't using the speakers, I actually used to turn them off. This one, it seems to be a lot better. Whether that's, it's not picking up so much electrical interference, or whether they've got something that's suppressing that now, I don't know. But from just that single point, it's made the whole experience of using it a lot better. Now, I know the KRKs have a hell of a range on them. I know that they're pro audio, like engineer speakers really, they are studio monitors, but that's why we did the testing with some of the tannoys and the SP2500s as well. One thing I would say though, is if you're going to be asking me questions like, is this going to be better than the onboard audio on my motherboard, and I've got, you know, X Asus audio on it, honestly, these things are probably going to be wasted on you, or, you know, the sound card's going to be wasted on you. If you're heavily into your audio, then you're going to absolutely love these. Or I keep saying these, but this, I suppose there is the mother and the daughter board on it. The audio quality is amazing. You can set them up to exactly your personal taste, but I've got to admit, all I've been doing personally throughout the majority of the testing, yes, I have played around with it, but the setting that I ended up settling on and then switching between the speakers was the crossover set to 70, and then just the hi-fi mode ticked. I didn't really mess around with the equalizer or anything. I actually felt personally that it started to take away from the music the more I tweaked and played with it. But obviously all those options are there, so you can play with it to within an inch of your life. I did do some basic kind of gaming with it as well, but obviously I've only really been running a stereo or a 2.1 setup. But for the gaming, again, it was absolutely mental. Some of you will really like that game mode that you can just flick, and it is a very quick thing for you to be able to flick and play with as well, to change the whole setup with everything. I personally didn't like any of the other, like the movie mode or the music mode. The virtual speaker, again, it's all going to be down to personal preferences. I personally just liked it nice and raw in just normal stereo mode, and then just smash the hell out of the volume. And especially with, you know, good quality speakers like this, you're really going to get the most from it. So with the sound card, at the end of the day, it's a lot of money. You're talking 175 quid if you want to run it how I have. I haven't got any 5.1 setups or 7.1 setups to make the most out of the additional card there. But I have spoken to a couple of people on the forums that I know have got these, and I know Sub's been eyeing this up for a long time. And I do think that a lot of them, especially once they've seen this card is not coming out of this rig. Let's put it that way. It has actually, the difference between the STX and the STX2 for me personally has been massive. And just the amount I've enjoyed listening to music over the last couple of days has been unrivaled. And I would say personally as well that it is an audiophiles card. So if you're really into your music and you've got you're playing your music through your PC, you know, for whatever reasons, whether you've got a HTPC in the front room, most people that have got HTPC in the front room and don't play games on it are going to have a PCI Express slot there. If you're using onboard video to put it up into your TV, then you've got room to drop this card in. For me personally, that would be the way I would want to run a HTPC as well. But if you're an audiophile with a PC in your man room or your man den or anything, and you've spent a lot of money on an amp, or you've got some really nice speakers like this, or just a nice audio setup, then you deserve to get yourself a decent sound card as well. If you're heavily into your games and that's all you really want to do, I would personally say this is probably going to be wasted on you. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way towards the card. I mean that in a way that you're probably not going to get the most from it. Asus do other Republic of Gamers based kind of like gaming specific sound cards. If you're looking and you've got a motherboard with what I would call normal onboard audio, Asus even do very cheap add-in cards, 7.1 Xonars for about 45-50 quid. If you've got real crappy onboard audio, even that is going to be a huge step up for you. This though is like the top of the pile as far as the Asus sound cards go, and to be fair, it's thoroughly worthy of it as well. I've personally fallen in love with it. If Asus think they're going to get it back, then they're going to have to come around and fight me for it. It's that good. And if they did manage to get it off of me, I can say wholeheartedly that I would happily go out and buy one. It's made that much of a difference as well. Over the coming weeks, I'm probably going to be hearing how my neighbours have reacted to the change in it as well, because to be fair, we've been sharing my music for the last couple of days on a monumental scale. But from the OC 3D Command Centre, this is Tiny Tom Logan with the gold award winning Asus Xonar Essence STX2. Can you please start fucking making the names easier for me to say? Out. Ding!